think what I would like to do is open the discussion on abortion. We've just listened to a long lecture, so I'd like to invite someone now to just summarise briefly what we've just heard. Would anybody like to go ahead?
Well, we looked briefly at the history of legality of abortion in the U.S., the Roe versus Wade decision, obviously very controversial, in which they decided that a fetus was not a person and that abortion is okay. Now, we also looked at two different groups, Planned Parenthood and the National Right to Life, which take the two different sides of this. Planned Parenthood endorsing abortion, and the National Right to Life, of course, anti-abortion. So I think that's the main, and the main question we have here is a fetus a human being? And that's what's going to determine someone's take on this issue.
Alright, so before we get started on the discussion, there's a few key terms which I think we need to define. And the first one I'd like to put to you is the word abortion. What exactly is meant by abortion? Anybody like to start off with that one?
Well, in the lecture it actually gave the definition of abortion as the termination or ending of pregnancy, removing the fetus from the womb. So basically killing an unborn child.
Everybody happy with that one? Mm-hmm. Okay, would anybody like to make an opening statement on this issue? Poppy?
What was I going to say? Oh yeah. Yeah, I think the Roe versus Wade case is really important because it was one of the most famous cases where they actually overturned laws about abortion because abortion used to be illegal, and because they actually answered this question, which is still controversial, about whether or not the fetus is a human being or is a person, and they actually answered it as no. I think even nowadays there are people who support abortion but still agree that the fetus is a human being. So, I mean, it's a little bit different because they think that, yes, they are killing somebody, but for a good reason.
What would you say, what do you think is a good, would you say is a good reason? Which kind of things do you agree with?
Well, I mean, sometimes you have to look at, say there's a very poor family, they can't afford to raise children. You know, and this actually happens a lot. I mean, there's a family that already has quite a few children. The parents are often not educated, sometimes even alcoholics or drug addicts, and the woman gets pregnant. If you want to bring a child into that kind of environment, like you don't kill it, but then you force them into this kind of very terrible existence because they'll have parents who abuse them, they won't have access to education or any sort of basic needs like proper food or shelter. So sometimes it might be better to avoid bringing them into that situation at all.
But don't you think that's sort of forgetting about there's a sort of religious side of it as well? You know, because it is against like Christianity, it's in the Bible, it's you know, it's against those kind of things.
Yeah, it's a sin for most religious people because of the sanctity of life.
Mm.
Yeah. And apart from that, I guess, well, let's take away the thing which is biblical about it, but just think about it. Oh, if at 22 days a heartbeat is already felt, then I guess that thing alone is a very valid point for arguing against this one. I mean, I really go for this because at 22 days when a heartbeat is felt, then you already have a person there, and I don't think anyone has the right to take away that life just because of, for example, a reason that you said. Perhaps if say you're thinking of a family that is poor, perhaps they can have other options, maybe let the mother give birth to the child and perhaps think of other options like perhaps have someone adopt a baby later on. I don't know, but
I'm sorry, but I have to disagree with you here because in about 22 days, a human fetus is not fully formed, and it's no different from terminating the life of other animals that we have no problem with.
yeah, but we're talking about we're not talking about whether it's fully formed or not. We're talking about the fact that there's already life, there's already an existing life there at 22 days. So regardless of whether there's already a form there, or it's already, you would already see, you know, a human being there, or it's just a little thing there, we're still talking about life.
I agree with you that I'm not questioning the fact that we are ending a life, but is this already a human being just because it's genetically a human being?
I believe so.
Because it cannot think, it cannot, it has none of the things that we would how we would describe a human being.
Sure, because there's like the brain isn't fully formed yet, the lungs and the body is not fully formed. I mean, there's a heartbeat, and so you say that there's life, but then you could go back and say that, you know, there's life from the moment of conception because cells are alive, but there's no, I mean, there's no brain, it won't feel anything, it can't think anything.
Well, I'd agree with Liddell. It's the key thing is that it is somebody who's actually alive. It's got a heartbeat. I think one of maybe the things that wasn't mentioned in the lecture, was maybe we need to address, is if you need good reasons, at what stage should it be? I mean, could you say that? I mean, a lot of abortions are done at a very late time, which is 30 weeks. Maybe you're talking about an early stage, you know, the abortion like after 2 weeks, but a lot of abortions are done after like 2-3 months, which then is quite fully formed.
I agree.
Another thing is
Can I just interrupt a second? Alex, is there anything you'd like to say on that issue?
Well, I think no one would disagree. It's certainly living, and I agree with what Julian's saying. It's definitely living, but is it really human? I mean, is an acorn the same as an oak tree, or is it? You know, it has the potential to be a human being in the future, but yeah, at the time, certainly not, in my opinion. Yeah.
Julia, I have to clarify that though, because the abortion pill.
Actually, sorry, I'm going to have
has
to bring this.
prescribed.
I'm going to have to bring this discussion to an end now. I'd like everybody now to provide a closing statement of a minute. So, Bobby, would you mind going first, please?
Okay, well, there are two sides to this abortion debate. Obviously, is it okay to take a life, which it is alive, but maybe not a fully formed human, or you know, should we force people to keep the baby? And I think a lot of people actually find that abortion is okay because they don't want the child. They see several other problems, social problems that the child would have to face. And I myself agree that abortion should be an option for women who aren't ready to raise a child.
So, is there any sort of situations where that would not be the case?
Well, I mean, definitely I don't think that abortion should be seen as an easy way out and encourage responsibility. It should be stressed that it is a last resort when contraception fails and when the parents really are not ready to handle it.
Okay, thank you. Russ?